In this video, I'll be talking about some excellent reissues of 2022. Hello, it's Hannah the Omaha Introvert. If you're new, welcome, and thank you for somehow stumbling upon my channel here on this corner of YouTube. I'm a music and vinyl addict. If you're the same, you're in the right place. I'm having a lot of fun doing this series all this month, discussing my favorites of 22 and how my collection has expanded. By the way, I just heard Terry Hall passed away. Incredibly sad. He was in the Specials, Colorfield, and Fun Boy 3. I don't have any Specials records, but I do have Colorfield and Fun Boy 3. And then I just heard this morning that Martin Duffy of Felt also passed away. I'm not going to pull my Felt records out, but I'm a huge fan of Felt, so that one really hits hard too. What is going on here? This is kind of a devastating week. So RIP to both of those, too young. Reissues definitely make it accessible for us to own a particular album, especially if an album is too expensive, you know, when it's an original or it's been out of print for a while. So some of these reissues are done with care, others not so much. I'm pretty happy with the majority of these when it comes to quality and sound, but I'm just showing you what I personally own. So, and I also want to mention, if you got the Beatles Revolver box set, kudos. I did not get that, and thus I will not be showing it. I'm pretty happy with my Purple Label late 70s press for now, so I'm good. But there's no order to these. If I feel like it at the end, I may do a top 5 favorites of this batch. We'll see. There are no rules for this video. So number 1, let's start with a classic. This is a 90s album that was reissued, one of my favorites from that decade. So this is the Lemonheads with It's a Shame About Ray. This is just a lovely gatefold edition. And Fire Records put this out, and they're usually pretty solid. So here's the back. I'm not going to take everything out, but it did come with nice inner sleeves. If you like 90s alternative with power pop leanings and strong melodies, this is going to be for you if your ears have not had the pleasure. The mastering on this is exceptional. This is how a reissue should be done. And the bonus material with the demos and the extras, are you kidding me? Like, this is just perfect. And Juliana Hatfield is on this record. I will be talking about her more in this video, just because she's my favorite female artist, but superb packaging on this. Really, they just did an excellent job. So this came out, I want to say, in February or March of this year. So it's one of, you know, the earlier ones of this year. They're currently on tour with Juliana Hatfield. Yep. So if you get the chance, if you get the opportunity, go ahead and see them. Since we're on the topic of Juliana Hatfield, I might as well bring this up. So about a few months ago, I think I pre-ordered this album, and it's being reissued to vinyl. I just got my shipment notification like yesterday or the day before, so unfortunately I don't have it to show for this video. They reissued her album with the Juliana Hatfield 3, Become What You Are, and this is my copy since like the late 90s. I literally bought this for $1 at a garage sale then. This was my introduction to her, so you can just imagine how excited I am that they are reissuing this, and it will be in my hands hopefully by Christmas. I gotta check the tracking. So yeah, if you did not know about this reissue, go to American Laundromat Records. They're the ones who are reissuing it. And I think mine is gonna be on a translucent red vinyl, and hopefully I can show that in my upcoming video because it's very special to me. But here, next we have Skids with their first album, which originally came out in 1979, Scared to Dance. This is a band I just got into this year from recommendations of you all in this community. So this is an expanded 2LP reissue. It's put out by Past Night from Glasgow. And it's not a gatefold, unfortunately, but I don't think I own any other reissues by them. But I believe they've also done reissues by the Bluebells, Trash Can Sinatras, which are two wonderful indie bands of the 80s and 90s. But this one's on red vinyl. I'm not going to take it out. I did not have an original to compare it to. I just have the CD issue from like 1990. But this is Stuart Adamson's first band, and he later formed Big Country. I just love the guitars on this record. It's somewhere in between like new wave and post-punk. You just gotta hear it. So definitely check out Into the Valley and Scared to Dance, which are the 2 openers. Just excellent. And then you get some live and single versions on the 2nd disc, and they also include TV stars. So that's pretty cool. I recommend that. I recommend all of these, of course, but also this year we got several reissues of the albums from Sad Lovers and Giants. So, okay, so this one, I'll do this one first because it is their first album, Epic Garden Music. I had such issues with this one, you guys. I ordered it from Juno Records, which is based in the UK, and they sent it, I had pre-ordered it. The cardboard box was so flimsy. It was all bent. I don't know if you can see, this corner is all bent. And there's a slight warp to it. This is on white vinyl. I was so upset, but I sent them an email. They required very detailed pictures. I probably went back and forth with them on the emails like 10 times. It was kind of ridiculous. I understand them wanting to see pictures of the damage, which I did send them a lot of pictures. And I think I even sent them a video clip of the slight warp, but they finally asked me if I wanted like a replacement copy or just the store credit. So I went ahead and just did credit because I didn't want the same thing to happen with just a single record that they shipped. So yeah. So that one, it actually sounds pretty good, that reissue. And then they did Feeding the Flame, but this one's put out, let's see, this one and The Mirror Test are both put out by Spittle Records. Yes. The one I've been listening to a lot more is actually The Mirror Test. I think it's just, it's a good representation of their sound. But yeah, if you are into atmospheric 80s post-punk, you should be into this band, I would assume. But if not, hey, you just got a pretty superior recommendation for me, and I've featured them in my post-punk series before if you want to check them out. Okay, next is kind of like a blind buy for me. This is Carambolage, all-female post-punk new wave band from Germany. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the album. It's right here on the back, on the top of that. And I'll also put it down below. I'm not even gonna try. This has a lot of like punk attitude with some snotty vocals. I love German vocals though, even though I can't understand what is being sung, and that doesn't really matter to me anyway, but it seems like they were pretty experimental for their time, and this was put out, this reissue was put out by Tapete Records. Right down there. I think their 3 albums have been reissued this year, but I really enjoy this album. This one is their 2nd release. So yeah, I have been dipping my toes into some more jazz. This is Bill Evans with Trio 65, and this is on Verve. It is a gatefold. Now, I took a gamble, and I ordered this used off of Amazon. And of course, this is what I get. So the top, you can see it's kind of split. I'm still keeping it though because the vinyl, you know, it arrived to me in perfect shape. It's part of the Acoustic Sound series. So it comes with this insert. Sounds really good to my ears. This is more mellow jazz. I really like the interplay on here between the piano and the bass. When I've been wrapping presents the past few weeks, I've been playing this in the background, and it's just kind of like put me in a zen mood. So I really like this album. And I have been listening to a lot of jazz lately, you guys. Chris doesn't even know who I am anymore. He's like, why are you listening to all this jazz? I don't know, it's sounding good to my ears. Maybe I'm coming around, maybe my tastes are developing. I don't know, I just hope I don't go down the jazz rabbit hole though, because I already spend too much on records and I really don't want to spend a ton on jazz as well. Okay, let's switch gears completely and move on to the Heartbreakers. Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers with LAMF. This is the Found 77 Masters. Did you guys know this just came out? I think overseas and in Europe it was released last year, but We finally got a US release this year, like in the last month or two. It's on this splattered wax, which I don't need all the fancy color vinyl, you know, I just don't. So this is on Jungle Records. So I don't have anything else to compare this to. I just love finally having a copy of this essential punk album in my collection, and I've waited for this one. I guess from what I've read, the rhythm section jumps out a lot more, and maybe the vocals benefit more on this remaster. Like I said, I have no other pressing or version to compare it to. I just never see this one out in the wild. I never see early pressings or even reissues, so this was the way to go for me, and it's worth the wait knowing that it's a quality remaster. Next we have Associates with Sulk. This is their second LP. This is also a band I just got into this year, and they're kind of lumped into that new romantic movement of the early 80s and post-punk. I don't know if I would call this one post-punk. I will say that I do prefer their first album, The Affectionate Punch, which I had displayed on my record wall, I think in my last video. Yeah, that one is more post-punk to my ears. This one sounds very 80s, but that's part of its charm. So it sounds very dated, but I love Billy McKenzie's vocals. I would say like his falsetto vocal style is not for everyone, but I could listen to him all day. I love his voice. So this one's on this beautiful colored blue vinyl, and I also love just the cover art, the photo. It's very colorful. I dig that. So if you didn't know, this was reissued. It's remastered on 140 gram blue vinyl, and it says featuring the singles Club Country and Party Fears 2, plus an exclusive 12 by 12 inch art print, which I'm not going to take out. But yeah, really enjoyed picking that one up. I picked up a Gun Club reissue, and this is Fire Love, which is their first album, I believe. So this is like psychobilly punky blues. This pressing sounds amazing, by the way. It's put out by Munster Records. This also may have been released recently on another label. I don't know. I think some complain that the bass is too low in the mix on this remaster, and I agree. However, the vocals, guitar, and drums are just so vibrant and alive on this. So I think they did a really good job on this. The Gun Club, and I'll show the label, but previously I only had Gun Club on CD, so I did have that album. I have Miami, which is my favorite, and I would love to get either an original or reissue of that. And I have Mother Juno, so I was not new to the Gun Club. I've had these in my collection probably since the early 2000s when I was in college and just kind of exploring all these bands. But yeah, this is perfection right here to me. Here's the insert. Jeffrey Lee Pierce. He's another I'm kind of drawn to his voice, his singing style. This was also an exciting reissue for me this year. Blake Babies with their reissue of Sunburn. Wow, this was, first time on vinyl in 30 years. It says on the front there. So this says that Sunburn is not just the Blake Babies' best album. It's in many ways the last great college rock album. That's according to AllMusic Guide. So again, anything Juliana Hatfield related, it's put out on American Laundromat Records. I think they still do have copies of this reissue available on their website if you are interested. Originally released in 1990. So, college rock, jangle pop, very charming, talented band, and I love anything Juliana Hatfield touches. So, I of course had to get that. Now, I just featured this one in my punk update from a few weeks ago, but I will show it again because it is a new reissue from this year. This is Crossing the Red Seas with the Adverts. Now the original had a different cover. It had different cover art. This is a Gatefold 2 LP edition. Again, I showed this recently if you want to hear me talk more about it, but I think this reissue was fantastic. So the second LP comes with singles and live tracks. It's, again, I just got into them this year, and I was thrilled that this was just reissued on Fire Records. Fire also did that Lemonheads reissue I showed. That was the first one I showed in this video. So, solid punk from 1977 or 78. This is another one that I think I just had displayed on my record shelves, like at the bottom in one of my videos. So they reissued Material Issues. Make sure I get that right. Freak City soundtrack. And it's kind of weird. Now I do have a CD of this. So Backgroove Records reissued this, as well as their first album, International Pop Overthrow, which I also picked up at the end of 2021. I'm kind of perplexed why they decided to skip over this one, which is the album in between International Pop Overthrow and this one. So I wonder if we're gonna get Destination Universe soon as far as a reissue. And of course Kim the Waitress is on here, which, by the way, that's originally done by the Green Pajamas, a band that I have mentioned on my channel before. But yeah, Material Issue covered it and it became a hit for them. Essential 90s power pop, that's all I'm gonna say. I want to thank Anthony Bernard, because you'll see on the record wall behind me, he sent me a reissue of John Bryan's Meaningless, as well as XTC's Big Express. He also sent me the reissue of Alice in Chains' Dirt. Mucho impressed by this Walmart reissue. Yes, I said impressed and Walmart in the same sentence. So this is on red vinyl. It's a 2 LP reissue. Now it's not a gatefold. However, it just really jumped out of my speakers. I was surprised at how good the quality is on this. It's done by Columbia Legacy and Velvet Hammer. So yeah, this is one of my favorite grunge bands, one of my favorite grunge records. My favorite song off of this would have to be Rain When I Die. Very powerful stuff. And then that John Bryan and XTC, I haven't been able to spin those yet since I just got them, but the John Bryan is an inventive art pop classic, it says. I know his work through films, but I have not heard this album right here. I'm very excited to dig into that. So Anthony, thank you so very much for these gifts. Speaking of XTC, I also want to thank Brian S. Earlier this year, he sent me this reissue of Mummer, and I have a very early press of it, but this is on 200 gram vinyl. Very quiet in between the songs. Like, you can hear so many details on this. It's amazing. I love the song Wonderland. That's a Colin Moulding song. But yeah, thank you again, Brian, for sending this to me. I absolutely love how it sounds, and I recommend these reissues. These were like approved by Andy Partridge, I believe. Yeah, it even says on here, newly cut from masters, approved by Andy Partridge, pressed on 200 gram super heavyweight vinyl. So yeah, I'm really impressed with those particular reissues. I think I only have 2 left here, you guys. So Chameleons, we have this reissue of Dolly's Picture, and then I'm not gonna try to say that, in Berlin. Right down there. Mostly positive things to say about this. There are a few negatives though. The packaging is subpar. There's 2 records in here. They just stuffed it in here. There's no gatefold. There's also no insert. There is some surface noise in between some of the tracks. It's nothing too bad. But Blue Apple Music put this out, I think, in the last few months. So when I think of 80s post-punk, I immediately think of Chameleons. Like, they're an essential post-punk band of that era. There's just so much passion on this from Mark Burgess. And so the first LP is like demos, like very early demos from 1981 to 1982. And the second LP is a live show from December 1983 in Germany. So on that live set, it's mostly stuff from Script of the Bridge and What Does Anything Mean, basically. I'm very pleased to own this. Okay, lastly, out of this stack, and this just came in the last month, I want to say. This is just an epic shoegaze record. To me, there's just like more psych and jangly elements to Ride. Is it noisy? Yes, but it's much cleaner than My Bloody Valentine. It sounds pretty terrific to my ears. I don't have an original to compare it to. I wish I did. I just had my trusty CD for decades, probably. So this is a gatefold. This is Rides Nowhere, by the way. If I did not point that out, I apologize. But yeah, the gatefold is pretty cool. Lovely embossed cover. nowhere. And then this sticker, I decided to leave it on. I heard it peels off easily, but I'm just gonna let it be there for now. And this is on kind of like a blue transparent vinyl. Again, there was no black reissue. Now, if you like their early EPs, which I immensely do as well, they released them same time as they released this. I hope to get a copy of that maybe in a few months when my account recovers, because with Christmas and everything, I need a break from buying. But I do, yeah, I recommend this reissue. And I ordered this from the Sound of Vinyl, pre-ordered it. So after all that, if I had to pick out my top 5 from this batch, let's see. That's really tough because I don't have that Become What You Are reissue by Juliana Hatfield III, and that's just like probably my most anticipated one because she's my favorite female artist. Okay, but of the ones that physically exist here in my record room with me right now, we're gonna go probably number 5 with this Chameleons release. Number 4, I would go with, yeah, let's go number 4, Lemonheads, It's a Shame About Ray. My number 3, Gun Club's Fire of Love. Seriously, this sounds amazing. Number 2, Blake Babies. I have to. I love the Blake Babies so much. And then probably Adverts for number 1. Where are you? Right here. Yeah, this reissue would be my number 1 of the year, Crossing the Red Seas with the Adverts, because as far as classic punk, this blew me away, and it was pretty much new to me as well. I'm such a fan of this, and this was so worth getting, by the way. So we're done. We've reached the finish line. Which of these reissues kind of spoke to you the most? Which do you enjoy? If you want to share your list of favorites that you picked up, just leave me a comment down below, type away, and I will do my best to respond in a timely manner. However, it is the holidays, so I may be a little slow in responding to the comments, but it's always fun to interact with you all. Next up will be my favorite albums of the year. New releases, whatever you want to call them. That one is going to wrap up my series of favorites from the year, which I've been doing all month. Happy holidays and whatever you celebrate, my friends. I will see you soon. Take care.